Transgender: What It Really Means to Be Transgender, Breaking the Myths LGBT Series Part 15. The word transgender has been spoken often in today's world, but how well is it truly understood? Beyond the politics, beyond the social movements, beyond the fear-driven headlines, what does it really mean to be transgender? What is it like to walk through this world in a body, a name, a pronoun that may not align with who you've always known yourself to be? What myths surround transgender identity, and what truths are buried underneath them? This episode of our LGBT series, Part 15, What It Really Means to Be Transgender, dives deep into these questions, aiming not just to inform, but to humanize, honor, and amplify. In a society shaped by rigid categories, transgender people illuminate the spectrum of gender and the beauty of authenticity. This isn't about trends. This is about lives. Real lives. Real struggles. Real triumphs. Let us begin by understanding the foundation, and then unfold 6 powerful key points that will guide us toward a fuller, more compassionate understanding of transgender identity. Foundational understanding: what does transgender mean? Being transgender means that a person's gender identity, how they perceive themselves on the inside, does not match the sex they were assigned at birth. This mismatch can be minor for some or incredibly distressing for others. The moment we are born, doctors assign us a sex based on our physical anatomy, either male or female. But gender identity is internal, it lives in the mind, heart, and soul. It is one's core sense of being male, female, both, neither, or something else entirely. For transgender people, this internal truth may not align with how they are perceived or treated in the world. A transgender woman is someone who was assigned male at birth but knows herself to be female. A transgender man is someone who was assigned female at birth but knows himself to be male. Others exist beyond this binary as non-binary, gender fluid, agender, and more. Being transgender is not about deception, delusion, or rebellion, it's about truth. It's about authenticity in a world that often punishes people for being honest about who they are. That's where the power of this conversation lies. Gender identity versus gender expression. One of the most common misunderstandings about transgender people comes from confusing gender identity with gender expression. Gender identity is who you are, man, woman, both, neither. Gender expression is how you show that identity to the world, your clothing, voice, hairstyle, mannerisms. For example, a transgender man might wear traditionally masculine clothes, have a deep voice, and grow facial hair. Or he might not. A transgender woman may express her femininity in ways that align with societal expectations, or in ways that challenge them. Non-binary individuals may mix and match elements from both sides, or reject them altogether. The key is this: you cannot assume someone's gender identity based on how they dress or speak. There is no universal look that defines someone as trans. Trans people come in all sizes, voices, styles, and expressions. This diversity is not only valid, it's beautiful. Society often imposes rigid standards of how men and women should look. But trans people challenge those norms by simply existing as themselves. Gender expression is a choice. Gender identity is not. And understanding this distinction is essential to respecting the transgender experience. Transition is more than medical. When people hear the word transgender, they often imagine medical procedures, surgeries, hormones, physical transformations. But that is only one small aspect of the transgender journey, and not a necessary one for everyone. Transition is a deeply personal process. It may involve changing one's name, using new pronouns, dressing differently, or undergoing hormone therapy and surgeries. But it can also include emotional healing, coming out to family and friends, updating legal documents, or simply beginning to live in alignment with one's true identity. Some trans people choose to medically transition, others don't. Their reasons are their own, be it financial limitations, health concerns, cultural context, or simply personal choice. What matters is not the steps someone takes, but the freedom to take them, or not. It's important to reject the narrative that a transgender person must pass as cisgender to be valid. A trans person does not need to look or sound a certain way to deserve respect. Transition is about wholeness, not perfection. It's about liberation from societal expectations, not compliance with them. Trans people face real, daily challenges. Despite growing awareness, being transgender today often means navigating a world of resistance. Trans people face widespread discrimination. In education, employment, housing, healthcare, and even basic legal recognition. Transgender youth are at significantly higher risk for bullying, depression, homelessness, and suicide, not because of their identity, but because of rejection and stigma. Many trans adults are denied jobs or are harassed in the workplace. In some regions, trans people cannot legally change their documents to reflect their gender. In others, they're banned from public bathrooms that align with their identity. Perhaps most heartbreakingly, trans women of color face disproportionate levels of violence, with many losing their lives simply for existing. The violence is often overlooked or misreported, feeding a cycle of invisibility. But behind the statistics are people with hopes, dreams, talents, and the desire to be seen as fully human. Recognizing these struggles is not about pity, it's about justice. It's about waking up to the urgency of equality and the price of silence. Myths and misconceptions must be broken. One of the greatest barriers to understanding transgender people is the persistence of myths. Let's confront some of the most damaging. Myth 1: being transgender is just a phase. Truth: for the vast majority of trans people, their gender identity is consistent and enduring. It is not something they wake up one day and decide to try. It is who they are. Myth 2: all trans people get surgery. Truth: surgery is not required to be transgender. Many cannot afford it, don't want it, or are unable to access it. Identity is not determined by physical alterations. Myth 3: you can always tell if someone is trans. Truth: you can't. And it's not your place to try. Trans people are not obligated to explain or prove their identity to anyone. Myth 4: trans kids are too young to know who they are. Truth: children can have a strong sense of their gender from a very young age. Listening to them and supporting them saves lives. Dismantling these myths is not just an intellectual exercise, it's a social responsibility. When we unlearn false beliefs, we create space for truth, for healing, and for dignity. The importance of language, names, and pronouns. Words shape reality. For transgender people, language is often a battleground. Names and pronouns are not just words, they are affirmations of identity. When someone tells you their pronouns, using them is a simple but powerful act of recognition. Misgendering a trans person. Using the wrong name or pronouns can be deeply hurtful and invalidate their sense of self. It can contribute to emotional distress, especially when it's done intentionally. Some people resist gender-neutral pronouns like they/them, but these have been used for centuries in English. Language evolves, and so must we. Calling someone by their chosen name and pronouns is not about political correctness, it's about kindness and respect. If you're unsure, ask politely. Make it a habit to share your pronouns too, to normalize the practice. A simple, "Hi, I'm Alex, and I use he/him pronouns," opens the door for others to feel safe doing the same. Transgender joy and power deserve to be celebrated. Far too often, conversations about transgender people focus solely on struggle. But let us be clear, there is immense beauty, joy, and power in the trans experience. Trans people are artists, athletes, doctors, dancers, parents, poets, and pioneers. They are not just surviving, they are thriving, building communities, telling stories, creating policy, loving openly, and challenging systems of oppression through their very existence. There is joy in gender euphoria, the feeling of finally seeing yourself reflected in the mirror. There is joy in community, in chosen family, in friendship. There is joy in pride, in resilience, and in the freedom to simply be. Trans joy is resistance. It says, you cannot erase me. It says, I am not ashamed. It says, I deserve to take up space. We must make space for trans celebration, not just tolerance. Not just awareness. But joy, power, brilliance, and beauty. What it really means to be transgender. To be transgender is to know yourself beyond the definitions given to you at birth. It is to resist conformity in the name of truth. It is to ask the world to see you, not as they expect you to be, but as you are. It is both painful and empowering. Lonely and liberating. Fragile and fierce. Trans people are not dangerous. They are not confused. They are not broken. They are individuals with the same right as anyone else to define their identity, pursue happiness, and live with dignity. So, what does it really mean to be transgender? It means choosing authenticity over fear. It means claiming your name, your pronouns, your body, your future. It means waking up every day and saying, this is who I am, and that is enough. If you are transgender, you are valid. You are loved. You are not alone. If you are an ally, keep learning. Keep listening. Keep speaking up. Together, we can build a world where no one has to hide who they are.